In his first week in office, President Biden launched a whole-of-government initiative to support American manufacturing. That executive order led to the creation of the Made in America office, which just celebrated its one-year anniversary. Celeste Drake is the first director of Made in America at OMB. Celeste, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mimi. It's great to be here.
So break down for us what's meant by Made in America. Is it that the product is made on American soil? Do the workers have to be American? What about components that might be made overseas?
That's a great question. So for the purposes of Buy American, which is the law that covers direct purchases by the federal government, what it means is that the product has to be made in America, so that final manufacturing process has to occur here, and that the components, the cost of the components that go into that must exceed 55% of the cost of all components. So it's a test about where it's made and how much of it is American made. So certainly there can be foreign components in it, and the test does not involve the citizenship of the workers or the owners of the company that sells it to us. And by the way, we're working to increase that 55% up to 75%.
So the bipartisan infrastructure law includes a lot of new requirements for Made in America. What are those requirements, and how is your office working with agencies to meet those requirements?
The bipartisan infrastructure law includes a provision called Build America, Buy America, and it is the largest increase in the application of Buy America requirements to federal grantees in history. And what it does is it says if an agency is administering a federal financial assistance program, typically thought of as grants, for infrastructure, then the recipients have to buy the components to build that infrastructure from American sources. And that covers American iron and steel, manufactured goods, and construction materials. And we are in the process of working with agencies to provide guidance or instructions on what exactly that means, how to implement these new regulations, and by the way, how to work with recipients to grant waivers from these requirements in those cases where Made in America products simply aren't available.
I want to ask you about the whole waiver process, but first, can you just give me an idea of how your office steers federal procurement dollars to U.S.-based businesses? What's your role in that process?
So agencies have been using Buy American since the Great Depression. The law came into existence in the early 30s. But what President Biden has done that's really unique is create this office, the Made in America office, whose sole focus is promoting more domestic sourcing. And so what we do is when an agency seeks to waive that Buy American requirement, they run that waiver by us, just so we can provide a level of oversight to ensure that there isn't an American alternative and that every I is dotted and T is crossed in terms of the considerations the agency has to go through when it's issuing a waiver. And actually what we're finding is just being here as an added resource to work and provide advice to agencies is really working to reduce the number of waivers. So it's a great partnership between the White House and the agencies that are doing the purchasing.
So let's go back to the idea of the waivers. Your office just issued some guidance for waivers. What's in that guidance, and what kind of things would be considered a waiver?
Sure. So a waiver is just a term for an exception to the Buy American or Buy America laws. And in June, we issued initial guidance to help agencies understand what we were going to be looking for when we reviewed waivers, and to make sure that they knew that they were cataloging all of the right information to send us, so that they were going through the right steps to determine if a waiver was needed. And then in November, we actually rolled out the madeinamerica.gov transparency website, where the public can see when an agency sends us a waiver for review, and they can make comments to say, hey, I think I make this product. Can I find out if I can serve this or plan ahead for future manufacturing? And they can also see what was the final disposition of the waiver, if we determined that it was consistent with Made in America policy or not.
And just briefly, Celeste, are you able to measure the impact of your initiatives?
So we will be. As we are reviewing these waivers, we are building a database that supplements all the existing information on federal purchases. And we're going to be able to measure, as we roll out all of these policies and processes, what kind of a difference they're making. But already I can tell you, we have heard from some small businesses that, due to President Biden's focus on Made in America, have for the first time been chosen as contractors with the federal government selling Made in America products. So we're already starting to make a difference, and we are looking forward to making sure that we have all of the right data to provide an analysis and find out what's working and where we still need to make improvements.
All right. Well, Celeste, I appreciate you being on the program with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.